The world of Murim is usually a place of rigid honor and clear-cut factions. You're either a righteous hero or an unorthodox villain. But tonight, at the gates of the Black Death sect, those labels don't mean a thing. The rain is heavy, washing away the dirt, but it won't be enough to wash away what's coming. Through the storm walks a man known only as the Nameless Swordsman. He doesn't make an entrance with a shout or a challenge. He's just there, a shadow under a bamboo hat. The guards see him, they know the stories. They're terrified, and they should be. They scream for his head, hoping their numbers will give them courage. They don't. The moment he draws his blade, the world turns into a blur of steel and crimson. He doesn't move like a hero from the legends. There's no grace here, just pure, cold efficiency. One strike, one life. He weaves through the crowd like a ghost, leaving nothing but a trail of red in a gray world. One man thinks he's found an opening. He sneaks up from behind, certain he's got the drop on the legend. He's wrong. Without even turning his head, the Nameless Swordsman drives his blade backward, piercing the man's heart. The guard's last words are a question. How? Even from behind? But the swordsman doesn't answer. He doesn't care. He moves deeper into the compound, past the bodies, until he reaches the inner courtyard. There, waiting in the rain, is the master of the Black Death sect, an old man who has lived long enough to know when death is staring him in the face. The old man looks at him, curious. He asks why a swordsman of justice would wrap himself so tightly, hiding his face like a criminal. The response is short, cold, because I'm not one. The sect leader is confused. If he isn't a warrior for justice, why he's hunting down the unorthodox factions? Why play the hero? The swordsman looks up, and for the first time we see his eyes. They aren't the eyes of a savior. They're glowing with a manic, blood-red hunger. I am not a righteous swordsman. The sect leader starts to laugh. He realizes the joke. The world thinks a hero has come to save them from the villains, but the reality is much worse. The swordsman didn't deceive anyone. The people simply believed what they wanted to believe. They wanted a hero, so they invented one. The old man draws his blade, blue energy flickering against the rain. He's ready to die, but he's going to take this monster with him. They clash, a single, explosive moment where the rain seems to stop. When the lightning flashes again, it's over. The Nameless Swordsman walks away. He's bleeding, his hat is gone, and his face is finally exposed to the night. He doesn't look like a master. He looks like a man who has lost his mind, but found his purpose.
A rain of plum blossoms, falling onto a sea of red. The Malfunctioned sect, once the pinnacle of righteousness, has been reduced to a silent graveyard. Thousands of disciples lie in the mud, and in the center of the carnage, a man stands alone. He doesn't look like a hero. He doesn't even look like he's trying. Through the red mist, the reinforcements arrive. The legends of the world, Shaolin, Wudong, Namgung, they've all come to witness the work of a demon. They see a monster who has drenched the mountain in blood. The Nameless Swordsman barely acknowledges them. He stands over the severed head of the Malfunctioned sect leader, looking bored. He says he came here because they were supposed to be the strongest. It turns out, rumors can't be trusted. The great sects charge, a desperate pack of wolves trying to bring down a god. He simply smiles. He's having fun now. The world glitches. The scent of blood evaporates, replaced by the humming of electronics and the smell of a dark, cramped apartment. The demon pulls off a VR headset. His name is Bongsu. He's a player of Murim Online, a game infamous for its extreme, sickening violence. To him, the game is a masterpiece. But even the extreme gore is starting to lose its edge. Bongsu turns his attention to the corner of his room. The news on the TV talks about a missing executive, Mr. No. But Mr. No isn't missing. He's right here, trembling in Bongsu's shadow. No begs for mercy, swearing he's innocent. Bongsu doesn't listen. He's seen the photos No took of the women he murdered. He knows exactly what he is. Bongsu picks up a heavy hammer. He moves with the same cold efficiency he saw in the game. He explains his philosophy like a dark sermon. Most humans are herbivores. They just want to graze. Then there are the carnivores, predators like you, who think you're at the top because you hunt the weak. He leans in close, his eyes glowing with a manic red light. And then there's me. I am the one who hunts the carnivores. I am a hunter. The philosophy is interrupted by the sound of a door being picked off its hinges. The police. The detective doesn't want to hear about hunters. He sees a psychopath and a victim. He screams for Bongsu to freeze, but Bongsu is already moving. He doesn't care about a live round. He only cares about finishing his hunt. The shot is perfect. As he dies, he has one last thought. If he gets another chance, he wants a world filled with beasts he can kill to his heart's content. A place like the Murim. He wakes up, gasping for air. He's not in his apartment. He's in a filthy, dark alleyway. A thug stands over him, kicking him like a piece of trash. His body is frail, covered with scars and fresh bruises. The air smells of old iron and plum blossoms. Bongsu looks up, a familiar, twisted grin spreading across his face. A red system window flickers into his vision. Welcome to Murim Online. Player Bongsu. His wish came true. A pitchfork hits the dirt as we see So-Sam, a young slave, hard at work. A man named Mok Chill enters, covering his nose and complaining about the smell of horse manure. He orders So-Sam to follow him immediately, but when So-Sam stammers that he isn't finished cleaning yet, Mok Chill loses his patience. He grabs the boy roughly, reminding him that the Danri clan only feeds a stuttering orphan like him because he's useful. To Mok Chill, the boy is nothing more than a slave who continuously forgets his place. Outside, an old man is looking for Mok Chill to help move a massive pile of discarded weapons and scrap metal. Mok Chill is nowhere to be found. He's already headed to the Phoenix Tavern to drink. Instead, a man named Dong-O arrives. Seeing the heavy labor ahead, Dong-O points at So-Sam
and calls him a perfectly good horse to use for the work. Without warning, Dong-o strikes the boy, sending him crashing to the ground. He demands So-sam get up and start moving the weapons now, before leaving to join Mak-chil at the tavern. Left alone, So-sam hauls the heavy sacks of metal into the night. When he finally finishes, even the old man is concerned, telling him he looks pale, almost like someone on the verge of death. So-sam can only whisper a shaky, "I'm fine," before retreating into the dark. In his exhaustion, memories of the real So-sam begin to surface. We see a life defined by tragedy. A family lost in a typhoon, and a boy knocking at the gates of the Danri clan just to survive. He was born into a world that only ever asked him to apologize for existing. But as the boy lies in the stable, the perspective shifts. Our protagonist, Bongsu, realizes that the real So-sam actually died from that last beating. Bongsu has simply entered the empty shell he left behind. As he sits up, the familiar blue light of the Murim Online status window flickers in front of him. It's functional, and only he can see it. 2 weeks pass. Bongsu spends his time observing this new reality. He realizes this isn't the China from history books. This is a world where martial arts are alive. He watches warriors flying through the air and moving faster than the eye can follow. It is a real-life version of the game he played, where the people have real emotions and move as if they are truly alive. He begins to wonder, is he a human or is he a player? The peace is broken when Dong-o returns to the stable. He's angry because he took a major ass-chewing from his superiors and wants to vent his frustration on So-sam. He mocks the boy for living the good life. Dong-o lunges, intending to beat the boy again, but Bongsu is ready. He moves with a lethal speed Dong-o never expected. In a flash of blood and steel, Bongsu crushes the man's throat and drives a blade into him. His voice is cold as he looks at the dying man. "Guak Dong-o, the kid you knew, died long ago." Standing over the body in the rain, Bongsu realizes the great law of this world. It's the same law he felt from Mak-chil and Dong-o. The weak are prey, and the strong are revered. He doesn't have to hide his nature here. He realizes that even more monstrous carnivores than himself are roaming free in this jungle called the Murim. As his new body recovers, he makes a vow. The hunt will continue. In this new land of predators, he has finally found where he belongs.
Usually, a bottom feeder like Dong-o wouldn't even be worth the effort of a hunt. But in this new world, he served a final purpose. He is a test subject. Sitting alone in the blood-stained stable, Bongsu calls forth his system window. He needs to confirm how his inventory works. In the game, it was a simple slot-based system, 1 item per box. But here, things are different. The screen ripples like water. When Bongsu reaches in, he finds an expansive, open void, a space that feels hundreds of square meters wide. He looks down at the corpse of the man he just killed. He places a hand on the dead man's head and gives the command, "Store in inventory." In a flicker of blue light, the body is digitized and pulled into the void.
The evidence is gone in an instant. It's an incredibly useful ability for a man with Bongsu's hobbies. But it brings a new question to his mind. Can living things go in there too? And if they do they stay alive? He realizes he'll have to experiment further. Morning arrives at the Danri clan. Bongsu is back to playing his role. When Ma Chil finds him in the stables, he calls the boy a half-wit and mocks him, having heard that the kid has become a mute since his beating. Bongsu doesn't break character. He stammers and makes senseless noises, acting the part of the broken slave. Ma Chil, disgusted by the stuttering orphan, grabs him by the collar and orders him to take the horse for a walk. Bongsu leads the horse through the crowded marketplace. He is a ghost in simple sight. Even the local children see him as an easy target, throwing rocks at his head until he bleeds. They mock him, singing songs about stupid So Sam who can't speak anymore. For a split second, he stops. He turns his gaze toward the children, and the mask slips. His shadow looms over them like a monstrous predator, and his red eye glows with such intensity that one of the boys bursts into tears. Then, just as quickly, the mask returns. Behind him, his shadow remains a dark, jagged omen. Back at the clan, Ma Chil is growing anxious. He notes that Dong-O hasn't shown his face in days and wonders if the man dropped dead somewhere. His thoughts are interrupted when he sees Bongsu stepping out of the armory. Ma Chil is stunned. The armory is spotless. Every blade and tool has been meticulously cleaned and organized. He thinks the near-death experience actually turned the boy into a proper human being. Bongsu reaches into his robe and hands Ma Chil a small, heavy bag of money. Ma Chil's eyes bulge. He's ecstatic. He laughs, patting Bongsu on the back and praising him for finally learning how the world works. He thinks the boy is bribing him for better treatment. As Ma Chil walks away, Bongsu watches him with a cold, detached expression. He knows what that money really is. Ma Chil's fare for the afterlife. Night falls. Flush with his new gift, Ma Chil heads for the Phoenix Tavern. He's feeling flexible tonight, ready to spend big. Instead of his usual company, he demands to see Chosen, a woman famous for her beauty. Ma Chil sits in a private room, mesmerized as the beautiful Chosen pours him a drink. He comments on her delicate hands and tells her to come a little closer. He feels like a king. He doesn't realize he's being watched. Through a narrow crack in the wall, a single red eye follows his every move. Bongsu is there, lurking in the dark, watching the prey walk right into the center of the web. The hunt is about to begin. Night has fully settled over the Phoenix Tavern. Ma Chil arrives, flush with the bribe he took from the stuttering slave. The tavern manager greets him with a greasy smile, noting that Ma Chil has picked a girl young enough to be his own daughter. But in this place, money isn't a sin. It's the only law that matters. Moments later, a shadow appears at the entrance. The manager is surprised to see the mute boy, So-Sam, standing there. Bongsu doesn't waste time. He produces another heavy bag of coins, stammering out a request for the girl, Ang. The manager's eyes light up. He doesn't care if the kid is a mute or a half-wit. As long as he pays, he's a valued customer. He tells Bongsu to wait in the second room from the end on the second floor. Bongsu walks in, his silhouette sharp against the red lanterns. He's exactly where he needs to be. Inside the room, Ma Chil is already undressing, boasting to himself about how much life he still has in him. He hears someone enter and assumes it's the girl. He's wrong. Before he can turn around, a cloth is looped around his neck and jerked tight. Ma Chil's smug grin turns into a mask of pure terror. He struggles, his fingers clawing at the fabric, but Bongsu's grip is like iron. The struggle is brutal, but silent. Bongsu pins the larger man to the floor, his red eyes wide and vacant as he watches the life drain out of his prey. Ma Chil's eyes bulge, his face turning a sickly purple, until finally he goes still. In the corner of the room lies Eng. Bongsu stands over her. He doesn't see a victim, he sees a classification. He thinks she's an herbivore. She has neither the will nor the strength to protect herself. To him, she is as insignificant as the grass in a field. He turns his back on her and walks toward the door. Bongsu pauses at the exit, checking his store-in-inventory skill once more. He realizes that practicing with the system will be essential for his future hunts. Then, the blue light of the interface flickers before his eyes. You've gained experience points. It's the confirmation he was looking for. Killing in this world isn't just a release, it's progress. In this world, leveling up makes you stronger. Being stronger makes it easier to hunt, and if hunting becomes easier, he can gain experience even faster. A twisted realization takes hold. In this world, he can become infinitely strong. What a wonderful world this is, he muses. He looks back at Ma Chil's body. He notes that it's a shame he doesn't have a camera, a small lingering habit from his past life. He begins to arrange the scene, tying the cloth to the rafters. He isn't just a killer, he's an artist of the aftermath. Downstairs, the tavern manager is growing impatient. A lot of time has passed, and another customer is waiting. He heads upstairs, knocking loudly on the door and calling out for Ma Chil. Silence. He pushes the door open and finds Eng huddled on the floor, weeping. He looks up, and his voice dies in his throat. Hanging from the ceiling, his face bloated and blue, is Ma Chil. To the world, it looks like a man who took his own life. To Bongsu, it was just a successful experiment.
The region of Anhui, a land of fertile plains, flowing rivers, and thriving commerce. But where money gathers, shadows always follow. Hordes of bandits and villains from the unorthodox factions have long run rampant here, forced back only by the great clans of the Murim. In Anhui, two names carry weight, the legendary Namgung clan and the Danri clan. While the Danri clan isn't as powerful as the 5 great families, they possess 2 specialized forces that keep their reputation ironclad: the Cross Heaven Sword Division and the Black Crow Squad. The Black Crow Squad are the eyes and ears of the region. Their intelligence gathering is so formidable that even the beggar sect concedes to their superiority within Anhui. But recently, this elite squad has run into a case that defies logic. Squad leader Gi Dai-hyo is looking at a plague of suicides. In just a few months, nearly 100 people have taken their own lives. Usually it's 1 or 2 a month, never this many. What's strangest of all is how perfect the cases are. Every piece of evidence unequivocally points to suicide. Dai-hyo is skeptical. He asks for the first name on the list: Ma Chil, an armory artisan from the Danri clan. Dai-hyo decides to investigate the scene himself. He arrives at the Phoenix Tavern and enters the room where Ma Chil was found hanging from the rafters. His subordinate is convinced it's an open and shut case, but Dai-hyo is looking for the how. The room was a sealed box. Dai-hyo searches every nook and cranny, looking for a way a culprit could have entered or exited without being seen. He examines the wooden logs forming the walls, but they're set into grooves in the ceiling and floor beams, impossible to remove without taking out the roof. He asks if anyone was in the room next door when Ma Chil died. The answer makes his eyes sharpen. So Sam, of the Danri clan.
Meanwhile, Bongsu, still in So-sam's body, is walking a horse through the streets. He's looking at his status window, calculating. He realized that the experience points he gained from Ma Chill were significantly higher than his previous kills. Ma Chill was a martial artist, and in this world, killing the strong yields greater rewards. But Bongsu is a realist. He knows that in his current state, even the weakest warrior in the Danri clan could kill him. He needs bridge prey, targets that are stronger than commoners, but weaker than masters. He doesn't have to look far. A group of street thugs corners him in an alley. They mock his silence, calling him a loser and a half-wit. Bongsu considers his options. He could kill them all and use his inventory to dump the bodies somewhere else, making it look like another suicide. But the XP gain would be low, and a scene in the alleyway is too risky. He decides to play the victim and take a beating for now. But before the thugs can finish him, a man named Jang Ho interrupts. Jang Ho is different. The thugs are terrified of him. He ignores Bongsu and focuses on the horse, mentioning that his dark society leader is obsessed with fine animals. He plans to present this horse as a gift. Bongsu senses it immediately, blatant killing intent. Jang Ho has chosen the wrong person to prey on. Jang Ho grows impatient. "I don't ask shit twice," he growls. Bongsu finally breaks his silence, his voice cold and steady. "Then just kill me. Why bother asking twice?" The thugs are stunned that the mute can speak, but before they can react, Bongsu calls out, "Inventory." A ripple of blue energy tears through the air. Bongsu reaches into the void and pulls out a weapon. In a blur of motion, blood sprays against the alley walls. Jang Ho, the predator, is suddenly the one with a blade at his throat. He can only gasp out a final question. Just how? A flash of blinding light erupts in the dark alley. Congratulations on leveling up, level 1 to level 2. As the smoke clears, the remaining thugs realize the truth. They're not looking at a slave. They're looking at something else entirely. "Chains! It's chains!" one screams. "A demon! He's a demon! Kill him! Everyone kill that fucking demon!"